Judge Jeb Boasberg in big trouble. We now have multiple senators demanding he be impeached. Not happy about what we've learned about his spying on their cell phones. Ted Cruz is here saying impeach Judge Boasberg, and he's got a new video out. But he's not alone. Eric Schmidt says this is the first time ever that I've called for a judge's impeachment. And Lindsey Graham, now that we're learning more about the documents, can now officially confirm that a bunch more information was gobbled up about him. And he said, it is now clear that my official and campaign phone records were subpoenaed by special counsel Jack Smith. Worse, a judicial gag order was issued prohibiting me from being informed of the subpoena for at least a year because Judge Jeb Boasberg from D.C. believed that if I were informed, it would lead to witness tampering and the destruction of evidence. That is legal slander, and I would like to know the factual predicate for issuing the gag order. What evidence did Jack Smith and his goons bring in to Judge Jeb's courtroom to say that Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz and all these people who are senators who've been elected with the legitimacy of their constituents are essentially criminals? All of them. What evidence did Jack submit? Did he? And if he didn't, then that makes Judge Boasberg even more culpable for just rubber stamping these things without any real evidence. Graham says, my carrier, Verizon, was extremely irresponsible by complying with this subpoena. Instead, they should have followed AT&T's example and declined to turn over the records because it is a violation of the speech and debate clause of the Constitution and, as we'll see, federal law. I also expect the House of Representatives to investigate Judge Boasberg's potential misconduct, which could be grounds for his impeachment. He says the misconduct here is worthy of a Watergate-style investigation. It is my firm belief that there should be a Senate Select Committee formed to get to the bottom of this constitutional abuse and potential ethical and legal misconduct by Jack Smith, as well as any potential judicial misconduct by Judge Jeb Boasberg. This model served the nation well during Watergate, and it is appropriate for the gravity of the offenses here. This fishing expedition against at least 10 Republicans, U.S. senators, by special counsel Jack Smith is the biggest violation of the separation of powers in our nation's history. The driver of this outrageous conduct, as we know, was a desire to stop President Trump's 2024 campaign for president. They freaked out after he started to unleash hell on him. And not just the senators, hundreds of other Republicans criminalizing their conduct, which was legal, to take them off the playing field. 3 days after Trump announced he would seek the presidency on November 15th, Jack Smith was appointed special counsel, and then within months, 91 felony indictments were issued primarily in the deepest blue jurisdiction of the country against President Trump, in Fani Willis's homeland and in Alvin Bragg's New York background. And of course, in Washington, D.C., blue as can be. What was a trickle before his announcement became an avalanche, all because he dared seek the presidency again. I am convinced that if Donald Trump had not chosen to run again, none of this would have happened because it was an attack. They needed to sideline Trump, any senators who were Trump allies, and they went after them. Now, Senator Ted Cruz and Eric Schmidt are also out demanding this. Eric Schmidt says, this is the first time I've called for a judge's impeachment. Normally, appellate courts and the Supreme Court rein in the rogue district judges, but not Boasberg. He's truly lawless. He's openly biased. He's gone rogue, and he's likely broken the law. And Eric Schmidt is a very reasonable Republican who was a prior attorney general and has been the recipient of a lot of this abuse above and beyond just the spying on his phone records. And so here is what he said during the Judiciary Committee press announcement of this. And I hope they keep this pressure up because this is a scandal of epic proportions.
Judge Boasberg gave a speech about how he was going to thwart the Trump agenda before he got those cases. He was not the assignment judge. The D.C. courts have a daily assignment judge. He wasn't the assignment judge. He's on vacation. Somehow gets these cases at 1 a.m. Was he tipped off? Did somebody tell him these cases against President Trump and his agenda now were coming? I don't know. We should find that out.
I hope they do.
But Judge Boasberg, what he did to Senator Cruz and maybe other senators, absolutely, and I don't say this lightly, absolutely is worthy of impeachment proceedings. There has to be accountability. The American people have heard a lot about this, and you're going to hear more. We should have Watergate-style hearings on this for months.
Yep.
If we're ever going to root this out, We have to be serious about it, and consequences have to follow. Resignations, firings, criminal prosecutions. You simply can't, in this country, use the justice system to throw people in jail because they have a red jersey on or a blue jersey on.
They have a constitutional duty. It's not only appropriate, you have a duty to do this. And the Republican Party, I hope, rallies around this violation. Ted Cruz also came out with a video and he said, impeach Judge Boasberg. And he's dropping this one. Here's what he said in this short clip.
That was an absolute abuse of power, and I am calling on the House of Representatives to impeach Judge Boasberg.
Now, Sean Davis also dug this up. He said, by the way, you know, it's a violation of federal law. In fact, it's in the U.S. Code to prevent data carriers from informing the Senate of collection of its data. Judge Boasberg wrote an illegal order to ban the Senate from being informed, because that same law requires in the statutes federal courts to quash the data collection upon a motion by the U.S. Senate to do that. And Andy Biggs says, I have legislation to do exactly that. Let's get it done. Here you see Andy Biggs submitted this one March 31st, 2025. He says, Judge Boasberg shall be removed for failing to maintain the standard of acting with good behavior. Article of removal that's exhibited is for Judge Boasberg for abuse of power. What did he do? Boasberg then interfered with the president's execution of foreign policy, ordered the return of these illegal alien gangbanging terrorists back into our country, knowingly extending the bounds of his jurisdiction unlawfully and illegally, usurping the president's foreign policy rights, all in bad behavior. And Byron Donalds, another very solid friend over in Congress, he was out saying the same on with Fox.
He should be impeached. This is why I'm glad that my colleague out of Texas, Representative Brandon Gill, is actually filing those documents to have him impeached. You can't have a judge just be rogue in our system of justice, helping to that a rogue prosecutor like Jack Smith to start targeting any American, let alone United States senators. This is outrageous. And once again, it demonstrates the length to which the Democrats would stoop in order to keep political power in the United States. This is not about the Constitution. This is not about the American people. This is about their craven desire to remain in power. And you can look at this shutdown or anything else that's going on this year to demonstrate the fact that the Democrats do not care what lever they have to pull or where they have to go to. It's about power for them first, second, and third, not the American people, not the Constitution.
And they violate their oaths and their duties from the gutters, making sure that all of this stuff is sealed and not even telling the other people about these subpoenas and the investigation into Senate offices, as Lindsey Graham just explained to us. So the shutdown is going to prevent currently the House from being in session because they're not there. And when they get back, it does sound like Brandon Gill will be submitting these articles of impeachment, and hopefully the energy and the outrage from the Senate carries over to the House and the Republicans get their act together and start holding these judges accountable. Impeach them so that there are some consequences. They can defend themselves against the articles in the House. We can have hearings on this in the Senate so that this type of behavior never happens again. These judges have sworn an oath and they're violating their oaths, and there need to be consequences. Congress has a duty to act, and we're excited to see that they're energized to do so. But now let's talk about gold. What's happening in the world right now can only be described in one word: unprecedented. Gold is trading around $4,000 per ounce, and billionaire hedge fund managers, including Ray Dalio, recently compared the current situation to the mid-1970s, and he advised investors to own more gold than usual. Billionaire fund manager and bond guru Jeff Gundlach is saying having 25% in gold isn't excessive. The Trump administration is making changes at the Fed, and in recent weeks has taken significant equity positions in mining companies. 2025 has experienced a seismic shift in gold, and silver and copper are also near their record highs as well. In this bull market, we are profiling a gold-copper exploration and development opportunity on U.S. soil. The sponsor of today's video, GoldMining Inc, ticker USGO on the NASDAQ. Its Whistler project in Alaska contains the closest large undeveloped gold-copper exploration project to the main population center of Anchorage. The tailwinds from Washington are exactly the opposite of what they were in the past 30 years. They're productive and constructive towards mining, and positively contributing towards the overall rally in mining stocks. What transpired in October was one of the most pivotal moments in the history of mining in Alaska, in my view, and when you couple it with record gold prices and around $5 a pound copper prices, it has the potential for a major shift in the Alaskan resource sector. In early October, President Donald Trump and Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum announced that the administration, acting on their previous executive orders regarding mineral resource opportunities in the state of Alaska, gave approval to the Ambler Road project, a proposed 211-mile road to the Ambler Mining District, a key piece of infrastructure to unlock access to the mineral resources in northern Alaska. The importance is the market signal. It tells us that Alaska is officially open for business. So here's why I think you should take a look at US GoldMining, trading on the NASDAQ with the symbol USGO, with the Whistler Gold Copper Project located in south central Alaska. Alaska is clearly important for the Trump administration. Trump issued an executive order on day one of his presidency called Unleashing Alaska's Extraordinary Resource Potential on day one. The administration then issued a second executive order called Immediate Measures to Increase American Mineral Production. The executive order directs government agencies to immediate action to facilitate domestic mineral production to the maximum extent possible, including copper and gold. In addition to federal support at the state level couldn't be stronger. Alaska Governor Mike Dunleavy is a strong proponent of economic growth and the infrastructure to support mining in his state, and he has personally visited the Whistler project himself. Along with this support, the project has in 2025 been visited by U.S. Senator Lisa Murkowski and by U.S. Representative Nick Begich. The Whistler project mineral resource estimate comprises 294 million tons at 0.68 grams per ton, gold equivalent for 6.48 million ounces gold equivalent in the indicated category, plus 198 million tons at 0.65 grams per ton gold equivalent for 4.16 million ounces gold equivalent inferred. You should review US GoldMining's latest annual report on Form 10-K and the technical report summary incorporated in it, and its Canadian technical report titled NI 43-101-2024 Updated Mineral Resource Estimate for the Whistler Project, South Central Alaska, with an effective date of September 12, 2024, for information on the company, the project, and the mineral resource estimate. These are available under US GoldMining's profile at www.sec.gov and www.cedarplus.ca. Another reason why this gets interesting, in my view, the company's ownership structure is quite unique. Take a look. 78% of the outstanding shares are held by the parent company. One shareholder controls 78% of the shares. Another 4.5% is held by management and insiders, meaning over 80% of the shares are tightly held. A pivotal catalyst is now underway, which is why, between the following aspects of this opportunity, I'm telling you about US GoldMining, symbol USGO on the NASDAQ. We have a historic Fed rate cut cycle that just commenced, gold at an all-time high, and the Trump administration has issued 2 executive orders on Alaska, and the state is moving forward with a planned road system, the West Susitna Access Project, that will connect the Whistler project with Anchorage. And now, one of the company's most important moments since inception is in the works. US GoldMining has begun the process of an initial economic assessment, also known as a PEA, which stands for Preliminary Economic Assessment. This study is a preliminary review of economic factors, and the timing couldn't be any better, with gold around $4,000 per ounce and copper around $5 a pound. Do your own extensive research on US GoldMining, symbol USGO on the NASDAQ. Make sure you review US GoldMining's annual report and other filings with the SEC. When you research this opportunity, you can do so by checking out the links in the description below, and we'll see you back here on the next one.